Hi, Josie.
Hey, Alba, we made it. How you
Yeah, indeed.
doing?
Great, and you?
That's nice. I'm alright as well. It's just weird getting used to it being dark already, but we're
Yeah,
we're we're getting along. It's gonna be the next couple of months, so let's
indeed. We need to get used to.
yeah, let's hold on. Hi and welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining this episode of As Any. This is As Any podcast. As you probably know, if you joined here, you can join live, you can catch up with the recording afterwards, and basically we're talking about anything in tech and beyond. And today we actually have a very, very special episode we're really hyped about because we're going to talk about the state of reports, right? So, Alba, do you want to get us started? What are these mysterious reports?
Yeah, indeed. So I think I'm really excited because I didn't check the results just yet. Just we can see live together. But indeed, there is so many reports right now. Before in the web, we only had the state of the yes. That was a proposal by some guy in the community with some community that they start putting it together. And a lot of people, also the TC39, start creating that repo together. And now they start growing that state to all the fronts like CSS, HTML, and then other people join this movement and start creating reports also for front end, the state of CMS, the state of DevRel, the state of AI. So we have so many right now that it's kind of difficult to keep up. But
Yeah.
still, let's focus on the ones we really like and we work every day with,
Yeah, for
basically.
sure. And oh my God, of course, there's a state of AI report. Of course. When I was researching, I also found a state of DevOps, for example, which I thought was really interesting. But yeah, you were right. Let's keep it like narrowed down a little bit because else it's going to be like a doctor see this and we will be here
Indeed.
tomorrow. But yeah, what I really love about this, like, I mean, most of us are nerds in a way, right? And like having an overlook of all the data, what other people like, what they don't like, what about the new features are they used, how is it adapted, and like that's just like. I mean, that comes to the core of who we are, really, doesn't it? So it's really itching
Indeed.
my fingers to have a look. And I mean, the state of HTML, state of CSS, and the state of JS, they're all under the same hood. So they're quite similar structurally, which is really nice because then it's easier to compare. Maybe that's also really valid point. And maybe just a disclaimer, this might be nicer to watch on video and not just audio only.
Indeed.
We're going to do our best to try and explain what we're looking at, but I'm going to share my screen in a second. And so there's going to be some visual things that might be nicer on video, just FYI. All right, should I already get started and share my
Yeah.
screen maybe?
Let's
All
do it.
right, let's do it. I'm gonna share my screen and we can, oh, I'm gonna zoom in a bit. Here we go. So maybe we can start off by looking at the state of HTML, because I feel
Nice.
like that's kind of building from the ground up, right? Like HTML is the base of many of the things we do. So we can dive in a little bit. And for all these reports, you usually get a bit of an introduction of what are they doing in terms of like the methodology, was what was the idea behind it. That's kind of like more of a explanation, so we'll skip that for now. We can share the links
Yeah,
in the
will be
chat,
nice.
and so if you're curious about that, that's something you can kind of read through maybe in your own time. Then also importantly, there's a t-shirt. I mean, I'm sorry, but of course there's a t-shirt. Looks really cool. And then we can dive right in. Before we start, what I also like, this is kind of my favorite, I mean, not my favorite part, but one of my favorite parts is the demographics, because you get to see who actually answered this survey, what's their background, where are people from. In this survey for the state of HTML, we can see that many people from the US replied. And considering Germany's not that big of a country, a lot of people from Germany. What are they doing? Yeah, then a few people from France, UK, very European centered, I guess you could say, for the
Mm,
demographics, or from I can guess at a glance. And then
Yeah,
yeah,
indeed,
like
have sense. Yeah.
mm-hmm,
If you think
yeah,
about the people that are sharing the form or the influencers that are just participating, even in the little comments that we have later, I think have sense indeed.
yeah. But that's also something to like keep in mind when having a look at the results in general of all the reports. Like, I mean, this is kind of like looking at data, and I'm not saying anything new here, but it's always good to like think about, obviously not all developers are from the US, or this is 100%
Hmm.
representative. And this is also addressed in things that, for example, Sasha was talking about when he talks about how he created these surveys. Of course, there are like limitations or flaws to it, right? And that's just something to consider when looking at this data, that it might not be representative of all developers, but it's a start. And that's why we have the demographic information there to kind of figure out, hey, actually, maybe there's more to this, but this is a beginning, basically.
Yeah, indeed. And it's quite interesting also the amount of people that are doing the form in English, because I don't think that represents properly the different countries we have. It's just that people prefer to do technical tests or forms in English, because I do actually. And I think I can relate to that. I didn't do it in Spanish, but I could have. But still,
Mm-hmm.
the terminology and everything is better in English, I guess.
Yeah.
That's why I take it this way. I guess more people are doing that indeed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wasn't aware it was even possible, but I would be the same. Like if I
Ah.
look at any kind of documentation, I always switch it back to English because the German words just don't help. Like
Yeah, indeed. It's like when I try to speak with people that maybe have learned to develop in Spanish, is completely different. I mean, the terminology has, yeah, it's like not a literal translation. It's literally a word. And it's like, what?
Mhm.
I didn't knew that.
No, totally. Totally.
And what we
And
have here.
the
Oh,
age, if you
yes.
scroll down a bit, the age is also really interesting because most people are like between 20 and 49, I guess. It's kind of the bell curve. Is also really interesting. Um,
Yeah, it is. And the experience, of course, is related to that. Of
yeah,
course.
but a lot of people
Constant.
with a lot of experience. If you look at
Yeah.
like the that graph, a lot of people with like 11 years of experience and above. That's really
Yeah, because
impressive.
also in programming it's kind of difficult to say experience only when you work. So probably
Right.
they count also the time that they spent in the computer. Like because my boyfriend has code since he has 9. In my case, I
Hmm.
was 18 when I discovered the developer role, so
Hmm.
I didn't start till late. But I guess people that start really young have sense.
I mean, you were
Um,
18, which is still really young, but in
yeah, but not
comparison to
9. I mean.
yeah, 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 of course. That's just
I was
I mean,
playing just with canicas, we call it in Spain, the little balls that you throw in the floor.
oh, that's adorable. Yeah. No, that's amazing. So that's the kind of the demographics for you. Then there's more information, yeah, about the company size, lots of large companies.
I didn't know
Um,
there is companies. Well, of course we know like Microsoft and so on, but still like 1,000 people is crazy for me. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And there's also like income, for example, which I like if you scroll down a bit further. Um
Yeah, even here we can compare it. But yeah,
oh, that's
it's like,
nice. I could
yeah, I
spend
didn't
like
know that neither. It's
no, me
like really
neither.
cool because you can check how much they pay. Uh, from here and on, yeah, these two are the best.
Yeah. And there's a separate graph, yeah, just for income. And then you can kind of compare the US to the world, which is also kind of interesting, right? Because they're the salaries in general a bit different than in most parts of the world, I guess. So it's
Yeah,
really,
indeed.
really good that was kind of split up because I was afraid that would really mess up the graph if you compare European salary to US salary, for
Yeah,
example.
have sense. Have
Mm.
sense. Yeah, really different this level. Crazy. And
I
of
could,
course, yeah, related feel. Yeah, that's me. And I guess a lot of engineering people that didn't find a job in their own topic, they end up developing. It happens to me. So probably I can relate to this.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're referring to the higher education, right? Whether people have like a degree or not in the
Yeah,
field or something else. Yeah, for sure.
exactly.
What did you study out of curiosity?
Yeah, I study engineering of image and sound in telecommunications. So it's like
Okay,
how you
wow.
develop a chip inside a camera or a speaker, you know. So
Hmm.
this kind of development, but not actually to work as web developer. Basically,
Wow. That's
didn't
pretty
study
cool.
this. Oh, thank you.
No, that sounds very impressive. Um, it's quite
It
a
was fun.
shift. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. Quite a shift to go from that to web as well. And then we
Indeed.
also see gender here in our demographic section. So you can see
Yeah.
88% are male who answered the survey. Which is not surprising, but still devastating as women in
Yeah.
the industry, I guess. But
Indeed.
this is nothing new. And then again, you can compare it to the income in the country. Yeah, the demographic section is already like so mind blowing. I'm afraid we're not going to make it through any other
Yeah.
report if we.
No, indeed, indeed, indeed. But it still is interesting because I think most
Yeah,
of the states are the state of yes, state whatever.
hmm,
You can see comparable with this. It's like
for sure.
the same people are feeling them. But yeah, it's interesting to see. And of course, this is just a call to all the women that follow us and all the communities we are into that we need to start getting more proactively filling this form because I know there is more women that maybe don't know about the state of anything
Hmm.
yet, so we can start promoting it in our channel so people can fill it out. But yeah, still a lot of work to do. That's the
Yeah,
summer.
and Daniel is actually pointing out that the taxes also make a massive difference if you compare the salary of the different countries, and then you should technically also compare it to the different taxes, which makes a lot of sense, right? So that's a really great point, Daniel.
Mm,
Thank you. Yeah.
yeah, thank you.
No, and then you can look at race and ethnicity, and there again, you see like 82% of the respondents are white, which probably again isn't like representative of the body of people who answered this, like or
Yeah, for
the
sure.
body of people
No.
who are developers, but is what this survey is about. So again, something to keep in mind.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So
Wow. Yeah.
after taking who answered these questions, let's see what they answer basically. So, what features do we have this year that were really interesting and used, and which ones are going to come? And they just publish it in these states so we can get used to them and know about them because this is also a way of learning. Just checking the questions, probably you will learn things that you never used, but they are compatible with your browsers. So let's see what we have when we begin. Of course, semantic HTML. Forget about dips. We have all landmark elements to be used and also helping you with accessibility. So I think it's an important
Mm-hmm.
thing for Josie too. And it
Yeah.
seems that a lot of people have used it this time. I
Mm-hmm.
can compare with the last years, but still I think most of people are already using landmark elements and not dips. So that's a good step forward, isn't
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
it? But still the sentiment is half positive. Why? It's like they didn't respond, and some is negative. They prefer dips, I guess.
I
People
mean,
don't do.
that would be very explanatory, I guess, of the state of the accessibility on the web. If that's yeah, that's interesting. And
Indeed.
tab index attribute.
Yeah. Actually, one that I only use in negative. So it's like I'm against it.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Then we have lazy loading.
Yeah, that's really cool that people are still knowing about it because, as you can see, there is a much more people than in the others that heard about it but never use it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's a good way to promote it because it can make you download everything at once and just load things that are not visible in the screen, so it can get loaded when you are seeing them. And I think that's, yeah, a really good improvement for performance, and also maybe for accessibility, because I guess there will be also compatibility with the screen readers and things like that, probably when you are
Yeah,
using it. I never
I'm
look into it.
I mean, it's performance relates strongly to accessibility, right? Because one part of accessibility beyond the screen reader conversation that's also worth having would be lots of people don't have the bandwidth. Like, I mean,
Mm.
like you can see from me, but that's
So
just
sad.
that's ironic, right? But like, so like in many areas of the world, people may be accessing through their phone through whatever connection, and then if it takes forever to load, they're never going to figure out what's on the image. So I think that's
Mm.
really also related in that sense, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, interesting. And also we can see similar numbers for the searched images and sizes. That also helps with performance, basically, because
Hmm.
you can select one image search for each of the breakpoints. But it still is it's really cool that we can see these results, because also the content creators can start creating content that is more close to the end user. But probably you will never use these things if you don't face the problem, isn't it? I think when I learned about this, I was already working a lot in web development, and then I realized I could have these things to improve my front end. But
Hmm.
before knowing how to create a front end, I didn't care about this, of course. Maybe, yeah, a good
Yeah,
point to start with.
yeah,
And
for
also,
sure.
this is really cool. Yeah, because for example, for dialogues or things that are basically semantic HTML that we don't use, that they have proper functionality in JavaScript that is making out of the box in the browser, so you don't need to load. I think step by step we are getting there. And I think
Hmm.
details is also one that not everyone uses. And I
Yeah.
guess why? Because, yeah, there is no such promotion. And then when you want to style things, people say, okay, a diff is
For
better.
sure. By the way, like I'm not sure if it's just me, but can you maybe zoom in a tiny bit
Yeah,
because for
of
me it's
course.
really really hard to read
Of course.
what you're showing.
Yeah, because I'm in Brave and I, I don't use Brave, so probably it's really smaller. But that's true.
Thank
Now it's
you.
better.
Thank you. Oh, but that's nice because if you hover on something, it's already going to show, or at least for the one before, was showing which browser it's working in.
Yeah, indeed. That's if you click on it. So basically,
Ah, perfect.
when you hover, it gives you a description
Hmm.
of the feature, and then when you click, it shows you an example. And also, if they have data, they can show you
Hmm.
if it's available or not via the how it was called,
Can I
the
use?
baseline.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the new project that Chrome has created in order to say which browsers are available with that feature, or in what stage they will be or they are. So you can see that this is available in all of them, but there will be some that are available only on a few. Well, all of these are available, but still, I guess they only put the ones that are available, isn't it? We need to have
Hmm.
also data from the ones that are not, but it's still work in progress. And it's an open source project. So if you want to contribute to say which features are available in each browser, you can help them. There is
Yeah.
like a repo. Maybe we can say it later in the description
Yeah. Yeah.
because I don't
Yeah.
have it right now. But
No,
yeah.
but that's really cool, for sure. What else have we got? The dialogue, the autocomplete attribute. But in general, like you just
Yeah.
mentioned, I think there's so many HTML like elements and attributes that many of us are maybe not aware of. Maybe we got used to doing things a certain way, and these elements have been around, but there's so many of them, and some are so specific that we maybe haven't come across them. So I think that's really, really also that's also part of this report, right? You read it and you're like, oh, I
Yeah.
completely forgot about it. So that's really cool for
Yeah,
sure.
and not only that, there is some things like, for example, the clipboard API that
Mm-hmm.
has been changed over the years. It's not like they have created right now, but still they are changing it. And probably they created a new API to do the same that we did in the past with another one. And it's important to see these states, because then you know you need to migrate. Because I didn't know that, but for example, in the product we work at, there is a use of this API, and before we were using a different one. So now you can use this one, and you need to be aware of that. Otherwise, you will just get some point a deprecation message in the browser, but you
Yeah.
will not be aware of that, isn't it? So I think it's really important to keep this kind of form alive so we can get used to the changes that yeah, Chrome and the other browsers are working on now
Hmm.
that they have also like a consortium where they discuss these features.
For
But yeah, it's
sure.
really cool to see also the representation of this year. I think is much more powerful than the other years. Like it's really detailed on the
Yeah.
responses and also oof, and also the comments. I didn't saw the comments, so if you open it, you can see what people are saying about that.
It's so
Ne-
crazy because
Negative.
I was just gonna say, like, oh my God, I wish people would explain like their, and then yeah, of course it's there. Of course it's there. Like
Yeah,
somebody has thought of
but
this.
still, I think that if you compare, it's always negative. More than
Yeah.
positive, isn't it? It's like we really like to complain, but I can relate.
Isn't it that people only leave a review if they're really, really, really happy or a tiny bit like annoyed, right? So like the
Indeed,
threshold if
indeed.
you're annoyed is much higher, I guess. Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean,
Indeed.
and this is a way for people to also provide feedback. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really cool that also they expose it to us so we can see and it's really transparent. All the process is really cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, we can see this one is really interesting. And because of course our frameworks are using it, but you don't need to use it that much if you don't work in a framework or basically in the basics of one. But you can see that a lot of people heard of it. Probably that's me because I never use it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I use it, but in terms of Vue is using it for me. And it's really, really interesting. Yeah, there is so
Yeah.
many features from the browser that probably you will never use if you are creating websites because you need to go deeper, isn't it, to get this level of features. You
Yeah.
will,
Just
yeah.
if anybody doesn't see the video, Alba is pointing at the shadow DOM.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good point.
No, but that's absolutely true, right? It depends on what you work with. If you work with just HTML, and then you may be more familiar with a lot of things, or if you're mainly working with JS frameworks where it does a lot of the magic for you.
Yeah,
And
indeed.
that's really, really valid.
And also for this one, I think it's also interesting the name slot because I think probably it's a convention, but still this is the same way you will use it in Vue. You will
I was
use
gonna say,
slots.
yeah, yeah,
Exactly. So I think maybe there is some kind of way that the browser is getting inspired by the work that others are doing in frameworks because the naming seems really similar. But still, of course, this could be on purpose. Like they could have a conversation on the naming, isn't it? Because sometimes when I feel like reference computed for me sounds really Vue, but still maybe it's a convention and not Vue
yeah.
naming, you know?
Yeah, and some things may be like derived from HTML or based on HTML, and you're not even, and not you, but like somebody is not even aware that it's based on HTML because they're always using Vue, right? And so I think that's
Yeah.
really, really valid. Yeah. Daniel's saying in the chat, Rich Harris from Swelled said it, Shadow DOM is pure overhead. I mean, if Rich Harris is saying it. So.
No, of course there is some limitations, and I guess also the vapor mod thingy from Vue wants to get rid of that. But still, I think it's nice that we use the web, we explore, and we see the limitations or what is better and what not, so they can
Mhm.
also evolve. Because I guess if at some point this is smaller to what we build and to what we do, probably the browsers will spend time on improving this or changing it in the future. So I guess everything is possible in our ecosystem, and I
Mhm.
think every time people complain about it, it will make it better.
Yeah.
That's what I feel, and it's really cool to have this kind of form to filter all these yeah, functionalities that we use or we don't use, so
No,
they
for
can,
sure.
yeah, prioritize and also search. Nice.
Yeah.
Actually, I this one is kind of funny because of course was there in HTML, but I never used it. But still, the Remix framework
Oh,
start
yeah.
bringing all the web platform that we need to use, and that's how I get to know a lot of features that I never used, and they start promoting them. So I think yeah, frameworks are really doing a really great job in promoting
Mhm.
and advocating for the basics and the things that are already in the browser.
Yeah.
I love it.
Couldn't have said it better. That's a really great point. Yeah. But there's so
Yeah,
much in
so
there.
many.
Like how many features
Indeed.
is it in total?
That is crazy. Let me see at the end. Oh my
Oh.
God. Yeah, we can go deeper into all of them. But yeah, it's still 50 features that are isolated. I mean, really features from HTML, because then we have different sections that they created for different topics. And
Mhm.
one of those is yours, Yossi. I really am happy that they have like a specific section only for accessibility. I think it's really cool.
Mhm.
And also, yeah, this is basically there is a section called reading list that you can see what people say for later, because they are interested
Oh.
in getting into it and understanding better, because it's a coming feature probably, or things that they didn't work yet with. And I can see the popover API that the Chrome team, the DevRel team from Chrome, are really promoting right now,
Mhm.
because it's yeah, the future, let's say, to make sideboards and menus that are opening when you click on something, overlays and so on. So I think it's really cool that they created this API, and we can use it. And of course you can read about it in MDN, as all the features that are we are showing right now. Actually, it's really cool.
The user
And of
experience of
course,
this report is so great, though. I can't get over it.
yeah, yeah,
Like how
indeed.
everything's linked there and everything. Yeah, that's really cool. Great
Yeah,
job.
probably I can try to tab it and use accessibility, but no, let's not do that in live, just in case it's not ready for that.
I'm sure they will have thought of this, but maybe we don't test that
Yes.
out.
And then we have a section for firms. So
Hmm.
basically, people that are using forms daily, creating forms. For example, this website probably.
Yeah.
There is so many features that you can check, and yeah, the customizable select finally, so we can finally style it without the need of having dips everywhere, and just use the main select from the browser, but still have able to customize all the options and how it looks. This is amazing.
But is
It's
this
just
available
mind blowing.
already across all the browsers and everything?
Yeah, we can see in the can I use, because I can see the baseline mentioning. I guess not yet, but
Oh, okay.
still
Because
we
we're
can
just,
probably.
I mean, I was working on a select and we wanted to use it and there was some reasoning against it, but that's a complete sidetrack. So, like,
Yeah, no, indeed. But I think a lot of people are. Yeah, indeed, it's not.
yeah.
It's just
Hmm.
canaries, probably. Well, maybe let me just search for the tag instead, just in case the name that they put here is quite generic and not what we want to see. But it's still no, it's the same. Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically they are working on it, but at some point they will have this feature. So yeah, for now you can try in Canary, and you can even get betas usually. So this is really cool, and I hope yeah it lands in all of them at some
Yeah.
point. Sad that it's not ready yet, but still.
Yeah, it would be nice. Would make our lives a lot easier. But this way we learn workarounds, I guess. So to,
Indeed.
to
For
focus on
now,
something.
let's do dips. No.
Yeah.
Ah,
Don't make me cry.
and indeed.
Mm.
Oh, and they also have sections for pain points. This is really cool. So you can see that everyone face at some
Mm-hmm.
point styling and customizing the forms that are basically in the browser. And you need to create divs for everything. So I can relate to that too. Or
And
just, yeah, style parents.
is a
Um,
1,000 comments on this, or is it
yeah.
1,000 people replying? That's
I hope replies, because if that's comments, that's crazy.
yeah.
No, I can click on them. So it's just
Oh,
replies
it's
indeed.
just the replies. Okay, I was
Yeah.
gonna say people are opinionated about styling the forms.
That would be fun. No,
That would
actually,
be
what
really
is this
funny.
plus 11? Oh, they
Even
specify which one. This is really cool. I didn't know this
even more.
is an accordion, so that's
Yeah.
good to know.
There's even more data, of course.
Yeah. No, but still, we can relate all to this, and they are working on that thanks to this firm. So this is amazing. So every time we fill the state, we know that the answers will have an impact on what we build. This is really amazing. And we can see always comments from the people, yeah, popular people in the community.
No, that's really, really nice. Also gives lots of recommendations on new, like, I mean, we haven't gotten to other tools and usage and all these things, but sometimes they're also recommending different tools, different libraries, different, like, their favorite things. So that's really, like, inspiring sometimes.
Indeed. It's really cool.
Shall we move on to interactivity? Ooh,
Yeah. Let's
nice.
see. Yeah, basically they are mix up with the features that we were seeing earlier.
Yeah,
So most of them were already discussed. It's just that they provide a different section for each, so you can dive into the one you want. In this case, of course, the ones that are related to interactivity, like exclusive accordion or popover API, that are more user experience. That's what they call interactivity in the form, basically. But we already talked about it. This is
true.
interesting because I used it earlier. I mean, the past week, because a feature we needed to introduce in our product, and it's kind of cool that I learned about it because I needed to use it, but
Hmm.
before I didn't knew about it. And as you can see, a lot of people didn't knew about it,
Yeah.
never heard of it, and it's of course normal because still you need to disallow the entire site from being focusable. You will never use inert. And the funny thing about this is the main feature that we should know, because accessibility wise is what saves you from a model or from something that has open to disallow the others to be focusable in just one line of code. Before, what we were doing, I can think about another solution. It's like
Hmm.
probably I was never making the focus trap in the models before. And I feel so bad right now. Like all these people are probably not doing it either. Or maybe they use libraries and they do it for them, because that's also a possibility. Like usually nowadays, all the libraries that we have for UI, they already have the functionality to trap the focus in a model. So
Hmm.
probably that's why people didn't hear about it, because they
Yeah.
just don't build it from scratch and have
And it's
sense.
also, I mean, it's also a thing that goes wrong a lot, right? So it's kind of like, I mean, it makes sense that a lot of people maybe haven't heard of it, because this is something that comes up a lot. If you run an accessibility audit, you get the user trapped somewhere where they can't get out, or like the focus moves behind the modal, and it's just very confusing. So it's a very, very common issue. Yeah, for sure.
Indeed.
I'm
No,
very
but it's,
curious about the accessibility tab. Should we have a look?
yeah, let's jump into it. So basically, yeah, the first one will be
The
semantic HTML.
landmark elements. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then we have the tab index attribute that we also already mentioned before, search tag, and the focus group attribute. Facilitates keyboard focus navigation using the keyboard arrow keys among focusable elements. Cool. Yeah. Okay.
You see, both of them, the inert, that is doing the opposite, and the focus group are the
Yeah.
less known.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is a really nice discussion, or a really nice thing to write about. Just saying, Josie, because you're the accessibility geek, that probably you can write an article on this too. That would be amazing.
No
I will
pressure.
read it.
Thank you.
Zero praises here, yeah.
No pressure. Okay.
But that's
Good
it.
point,
I
though.
think this is really little. I mean, I will add more of them, but still,
Mhm.
it's okay.
No,
I
it's
mean, the other
really
one were
interesting.
covered before. Yeah.
It's really interesting for sure.
And user disabilities, it's really cool that they have like a question only for that. So we can
Yeah.
see what people. It was comforting to see developers account for a wide ranges of disability while making websites. Okay, so this is when they are making a website where they take into account. So
Oh,
they take
right.
into account
Hmm.
people with low vision, like blindness or high myopia, a typical color vision, like color blindness. So basically, color themes. Josie has worked on that a lot. And
Yes.
yeah, other impairments that are also mobility, vestibular, hearing. But it's
Yeah, but
really
it's
nice to know
that's
that a lot of
really,
people know.
really great. And I mean, many of you are probably familiar with the WebAIM report, but if you look at that, I should never try to Google at the same time. But it lists kind of the most common issues, right? And in there you can also see, I'm going to share it to the chat as well, actually. In there you can see the most common issues that come up. And so this is really good because it, like, the most common issue is contrast on pages in terms of accessibility, right? And so that's really great. If people are thinking about this the most, then we're maybe looking at a future where this will be fixed and this problem will be tackled. So that's really, really cool for sure.
Yeah, sounds exciting. But it's nice to see that a lot of people has work with this in mind.
Yeah.
Even yeah, I see little. Well, probably these ones are just people that didn't reach that far in the form, because
Yeah.
sometimes it happens that people start feeling it, and at some point they don't feel it anymore.
I mean,
Probably that's why there is. Yeah.
it's also possible that people didn't consider accessibility, right? That wouldn't be
Well, yeah. Yeah. Now, of
the
course, if you are working for a specific kind of sector or maybe a niche, and all of your user doesn't have any, yeah, but
yeah.
still, yeah, it would be
No, for
nice to
sure.
take it into account.
And Daniel is just saying in the chat that he doesn't see tab index as accessibility, but it's for everyone. And of course, I mean, you could argue that for many like features that I would call accessibility features, we actually benefit from them all, right? But I think just as a matter of categorizing in this report, this is one that can be related to accessibility. So I think it's either way is perfectly fine.
Indeed. We have also techniques. So basically, people using features that the
Mm-hmm.
browser allows you, but are not put in the other features, because basically they have been with us longer, but still, yeah,
Something like
this one's
alternative
really
text, for
important.
example. Information hierarchy is also something that's not related to just one individual. I mean, to the headlines, but like not one individual tag necessarily. Form controls, also an important one. Meaningful link test, sufficient contrast. Yeah, that's listing all the important accessibility things. So this is really, really cool for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. And probably, yeah, most of these ones, for example, I will also call them SEO technical,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
end, if you want the browser, well, the search engines to track your website, probably you will need this. Even if you don't think about accessibility, you will start doing that just for the sake of being foundable in a search engine. So yeah, it's interesting to see that all of them are covered, probably because of other reasons indeed. And then we have the screen readers, and people start sharing what they use to test. Chrome DevTools is winning. Of course, we are developers, but still, there is people that are more sophisticated, and they have other tools for that. I know you have. Actually, I only use VoiceOver once, but
Yeah. I
it
mean,
bugs me because I don't know how to use it, and it gets me crazy. So it's like, no, I just do it with the Chrome one when I
yeah.
need to do it. Yeah. So, but there is a lot actually.
Yeah.
And then we have accessibility tools, and yeah, they call Lighthouse an accessibility tool. Well, I can disagree with this, but still, it's a nice start if you want to see the basic, but still it's not testing most of the things that you need. I think Wave or Axe are really cool. At least when I use them, I feel that they are not overwhelming, and they have, let's say, really in-depth things, but it's still in a generic way that I can tackle as a developer, and don't focus so much on how it works. Because at the end, if you know about accessibility, there is a lot of law for me. Like, you need to read a lot, and there is so many technical words that I don't understand. And for me, these tools have helped me to put it in my level, let's say, of what I know, and
Mhm.
can help the website to fix it, because they have testing and so on. So I think these two are the ones I will select, X and Wave. But the other
Yeah,
ones, I don't know.
but I mean, I don't know all of them, but I could be wrong here. But I was under the assumption that Lighthouse is also using X under the hood, but maybe I'm saying something completely wrong
I mean,
right
no,
now.
no, 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 no. I don't know what it does under the hood. It's just that the report is kind of basic. Like, I don't have proper definition of the problem. It's like really generic for me. And Axe is pointing, at least the application that they have, like the Chrome extension that they have. That's what I use. And usually it's more detailed and
Yeah.
more pointing. Like, this is the
Hmm.
guy that is making you this.
No, of course. I just looked it up because I was really freaked out, but I think I'm right. X Lighthouse is using X Core library under the hood, so phew. Um, but But I think the most important thing is that you find a tool that works for you, right? What I
Hmm.
like about, I mean, first of all, it's automated tools, and we don't have to get into an accessibility discussion here, but automated tools will only ever catch so many issues, and you will still also always,
Mm.
regardless of what tool you use, you will have to test manually. But Lighthouse now, I don't think they've had it forever. Again, I could be wrong, but I noticed they now have a section where they say, these are all the things that we found automatically. Here is a list of things that we can check for. Please go check them
Ah,
manually. And it gives you an actual list. And I think that's really great that it's like the tool is actually highlighting its own limitations. And so that's really cool about Lighthouse. And I really like how they kind of built that up. But yeah, and it's really accessible because many people, to people who are using like Chrome DevTools, right, and they're just it's right there.
yeah.
You don't need an extra extension, so it is. But yeah, nice. Pally is also a really nice one too for accessibility testing, for example.
I didn't hear
Um,
about it. And actually, yeah, a few are using it. So yeah, will be nice to
yeah.
try to see how it works.
Accessibility
And
pain points, technical
yeah,
issues,
no.
company issues. Yeah, it's a big cultural shift to implementing
Yeah, low
accessibility.
priority, winning, of course. Yeah, that's sad. But it still, it depends on the market. Maybe has more sense than others.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
it's
For
really
sure.
frustrating when you have like a website for the government that is not accessible. That's happening in Spain a lot,
Oof.
with a lot of websites that are meant for the entire
Hmm.
population, and that's kind of scary. But it's still, yeah, for other companies probably, yeah, there's
Yeah.
not so much need.
I mean, we're slowly running out of time. Maybe we can
Yeah,
quickly
indeed.
look at the other tools, then highlight some things from the State of CSS report, and
Yeah, that
then
would be nice.
be
That would be nice.
I don't
But it's
know what
still,
happened to the time, but it's,
no, it's okay. Yeah, it's difficult to run into all the features that we
no,
have and
it's
discuss
not
everything
possible.
deeply, of
Yeah,
course. But it's
not
still, if you want to look at the others features that we didn't touch in the state of HTML, we will leave the links on the description so you can take a look. And for CSS, we also have introduction as always and some logos here. And the demographics we can see probably similar. Indeed, it's actually the same, but different amounts of people, but still the
Mhm.
kind of tracking is the same. And probably let's go to gender directly just to see, and exactly the same. Maybe
Yeah.
less non-binary, but still similar. And for race, I guess the same. Indeed. So basically, all the forms are filled by the same people because they are in the newsletter, like us. That's what it
Mm,
is. So probably we need to, yeah, find more people outside the newsletter so they can also fill it out. And for the features in CSS, we have, yeah, for I guess they didn't do, indeed, they didn't do any separation of concerns because at the end they are not APIs or tags that you can use for different things. It's just styling. So is everything in the same one. And we can see how many we have already. We have, oh my god. Whoa.
it
This is
doesn't
long.
stop.
So we have 60. So let's just look at the ones that we like and that's it. What do you think? So for me,
Yeah.
hats was my leader game this year's. Well, this last year, and I use it for different bunch of stuff, and now that it's available I have it already in the products that are live, so I'm really happy that they made it. And at the beginning I was expecting the opposite, like work the opposite of what they did, but still what they did is compatible to styling everything depending on how the children is behaving in the parent. So you can style the parent finally without any kind of trick in JavaScript in order to change it. And that's amazing. I mean, I love it since the beginning. So I'm really happy that it's available in all the browsers right now, at least in the newly ones, like the latest versions, of course. And we can see Asper Radio also taking the lead this year, of course. So people already know about it and is happy using it. And let's see which ones are more controversial. So phone display seems controversial because there is not, oh my god, it's almost 40% of people that never heard of it. and basically it's just how you load the font family. So I would say it's performance wise, because usually in the performance reports you get this kind of report that the font display should be set to something. And yeah, I think probably performance is something that people lack a little sometimes. We need to create more content. But still, let's see other features. We have the CSS logical properties. Oh, really cool. Really cool. I never use this, if I'm
Nope.
honest.
Nope, me neither. I just got
Mhm.
lost because there's also filters to filter the features because we have so many features, right? And you can actually filter
Indeed.
by layout, shapes, colors, interactions, typography, again, accessibility, math, or anything else. And you can also sort it by never
Interesting.
heard of it, for example. And so if you look at all of the features, the one thing that most people hadn't heard of was hanging punctuation.
Hanging puntation.
I can't even pronounce it exactly. Yeah. So I don't know. I think that's really, really interesting.
Me
Or
neither.
forced color. Yeah. So I think that's something really interesting to play around with. And then you can also see what's kind of the most popular, the thing that most people are using. And so you can also sort it by comments to see the most controversial things. On the subgrid, for example, we have over 300 comments. Or also on CSS nesting, lots of discussions. So I think that's really interesting to kind of also see
Yeah.
what other people are thinking about these new features or about these features. Yeah.
Yeah, I love this because at the end, yeah, this upgrade, I guess why, of course, positive, positive. I like because of course it's really new, but it's something that was wanted for a long time. It's
Hmm.
crazy. So yeah, people are so happy about it, and I can agree with them. So nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's
really
really.
cool to see the form this way so you can see really quickly what is happening. View transitions API, never heard of it. Half sense. This year was
Hmm.
trendy in such a niche of the community because Astro bring it up. Also Svelte, I think they added to the framework and Vue too. So it's kind of cool that we are discovering these features only because we use these frameworks. Probably in other frameworks, they are not used to these kind of features from the browsers, but it's still
Hmm.
new. So yeah, but really cool to see all
No, for
this.
sure.
Yeah,
If you look at the libraries and tools,
of course.
yeah,
I didn't expect
because
differently.
Daniel was just hinting at Tailwind in the comments, so I figured we should have a quick look at the CSS frameworks, and there you can see Tailwind is
Indeed.
by far the most used, and followed by
Oh,
Bootstrap.
but
And
Bootstrap is still is kind of huge. Eh? I didn't expect it that much because we have these days a lot of different ones, and maybe people migrated because Bootstrap is here from the beginning.
mhm, mhm.
I mean, was one of the first ones to be popular, let's say. So I didn't expect. Yeah, I expect more parity in others, but still, Taiwan, of course, I get it. It's like an easy way to go. But yeah, it's interesting. What do you think? Do you like Tywin now that you have been using it for a little bit?
I kind of I have a lot of fun just working with like pure CSS, to be honest. It's just a different approach. I'm not here, not there. I heard people say good things about Bulma. Am I pronouncing that right?
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, don't ask
Um,
a Spanish person if that's.
um, no, but I've heard really good things about that one. I think Roberto from our colleague tested it and was super happy with it. But again, maybe I'm mixing this up, but like the sentiment on that one was really positive. For example, I haven't tried it myself, and there's so much like I'm just like trying to grasp CSS properly before dabbling with any of the frameworks. But
But that's cool.
uh,
Yeah, of course. No CSS framework. You are here. We
yeah.
can find you. No,
uh,
but it still is kind of cool to see all different ones that have been used. Oh, it's interesting because there is a lot that are related to Vue. So
yeah,
it's yeah, it's interesting. Maybe people that are feeling this form are also Vue users. But still, yeah,
maybe. Yeah.
CSS is really not known that much. but
I
basically it has the same approach as Tailwind.
Yeah.
It's
Callie is
utility first.
saying she likes or they like Tailwind with Daisy UI.
Oh, nice, nice. So they
Yeah.
combine it, so they have also a set of components, isn't it? Because probably the CUI is not only CSS. Yes, this is kind of interesting when they call CSS frameworks,
Yeah, it's
but it's
broad, isn't
still
it?
in
Yeah.
at some point they have a little bit of things like the cards and things like that, like Bootstrap. Yeah, because of course it's a CSS framework, even if they create opinionated styles, isn't it? But for me, it's like, yeah. Yeah, actually I only use Bootstrap and Tailwind CSS
hmm
in my development career, apart from SAS, less, and plain CSS, I mean. And still I really like Tailwind.
Yeah.
Probably because they also are ahead of time, and usually they deliver the features that you need even before they are compatible in all browsers, so
hmm
you learn CSS with them too.
No,
Of
that's
course,
fair. That's fair.
you need to
Yeah,
have
that's
some
fair.
kind of mindset of every time I use something in I will investigate a little bit how it is in plain CSS, so I know the basics and how it works before using the classes without knowing
hmm
what is happening there. But still, it's a really nice way to get into CSS really easily, and for me it boosts my productivity like 300%.
It
So
feels a
yeah,
little bit like you still have to know what things are called or right? And so it's a little bit like learning vocabulary in a
indeed.
way. For me, it feels like if I know it in pure CSS, I will have for some time to get used to for a project for Tailwind, what it's called. And then if I have that down and I'm so used to it, then I would have to look it up in like
Yeah,
proper
indeed.
word.
And
Like,
it happens the opposite also. When you start getting used to Tailwind,
yeah,
you
exactly.
messed up the CSS properties because they probably combine
Yeah,
the value and the key, and then you don't know where to split
totally.
it and go
Yeah.
back. And it's like, oh no, my mind is broken.
No, for sure,
But it's
absolutely.
still,
But it's still really interesting, right? So,
yeah, but I
um,
think we have enough of CSS framework. Still, at CDN, I think really a few respondents to the amount of people that is talking about that nowadays. Like if I
mhm.
compare with my network and the people I met in the conference, they are talking about SAT CDN, DCN. I always say it wrong. Oh my dyslexia, but still, still, SAT DCN. They made it on purpose. I mean, we are in web. There is CDNs. If you still, did you hear about it?
No,
SAT
never.
DDN,
I also can't.
DCN. Oh my god.
Shad DCN. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
That's the one. So
That.
there is a lot, like they have like a package for each of the frameworks, and
hmm
they basically have support for all of them more or less. And people are really hype about it. Like my
Okay.
boyfriend is using it. I have a couple of friends that are using it actively. I have a friend that created one for Quick. So it's like everyone is really involved in this community. So
Great.
only 55 people. It's like it sounds weird, but maybe
I mean,
because they don't know about the firm. That's it. But yeah.
also, I don't know when was this report created, even those for 2024.
Mm,
Maybe that buzz was kind of created relatively recently. I don't know, like when was the deadline for this? So it could be a matter of, or where was it collected? Who was answering
has
the
sense.
survey? Yeah.
Yeah, has sense. But yeah,
Um,
really nice to see that there is still new frameworks, but not that much as we have in JavaScript side, isn't it? So at least we
yeah.
keep it slow and we
Yeah,
can sell it.
for
And there
sure.
is also interesting. So the ones that are related to CSS in JS, still people are using them. Then we have preprocessor and postprocessor. Still
hmm
SAS and post CSS are the ones leading, and I guess yeah, has sense, and they are still the only ones, isn't it? Because light in CSS, I never heard of it.
Nope, me neither.
Interesting. I will check later.
Um, yeah,
But
I'm also
still, yeah.
I keep making notes of like things to look up.
Yeah,
So that's
maybe yeah, we need to explore in the projects that we have together, the pet projects,
hmm
to see all these little frameworks and post processors that they are creating to
yeah,
see how it
yeah.
works.
No,
It's
that would
really
be
cool.
really cool. That would be really
And
cool.
of course,
Prettier is a
yeah,
big thing. Yeah,
poor
that makes
CSS. Oh my
sense.
god, this has saved my life so many times. Like a bunch of styles you don't need.
Oh, that's
I'm so
great.
happy that this was created in the first place.
Is it
But
like
still,
deleting or helping you get rid of stuff that you don't need or where you
you
duplicate
don't
it?
use in HTML. So basically,
Ah,
everything that you didn't use in your JavaScript or
mhm.
HTML or components, it gets removed when you build it. So you don't have
Oh,
that CSS that you never use because, yeah, there is. If you don't use sometimes the npm and you just put maybe the Tailwind compilation, you have everything. So imagine loading an entire framework of CSS to
mhm.
get your CSS, but that's annoying. That's why, yeah, pure CSS is the best. And okay, and we have, yeah, the browsers that are, while the big four browsers dominate these charts, Arc is slowly creeping up the browser rankings. So the users are using also Arc. Interesting. Yeah, before Brave even,
Mhm.
has gone
Yeah.
up. It's
And
interesting, yeah.
is Polypane in there as well if you open more?
Probably yes. Let's see. Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
1%,
Interesting.
but it's still,
Okay.
yeah. Gnome web.
Wow.
Yeah,
So much stuff to look up. I feel like
indeed.
we're already at 5 p.m. or we're already at the full hour, so I think we should slowly like start wrapping things up.
Yeah, have sense. Well,
But
before we finish this form, I just want to say that sometimes there is in the forms, in this one it isn't. So in the CSS one we have the awards that you can see which feature was the most used. In this case, the CSS filter effects. You can see the least used. In this case, the hanging punctuation that actually we looked because we were never heard of it.
yeah,
And then the most loved feature is subgrid, of course,
of
because all the
course.
comments in positive sense. We already discovered this without knowing it. And the most commented feature was the same, of course. But it's still really cool to see what people are interested in these days. So you can
Yeah,
also take a look if you need that feature for your own front end project. And yeah, let
that's really
me
cool.
stop sharing my screen and we can wrap up. So yeah, basically, thank you for watching the show again. And if you want to get participate in this kind of form, there is one form open right now, the state of JS. So if you are using JavaScript or if you are starting learning JavaScript, if you have built something with JavaScript in the past but you don't know yet all the features that are releasing, please fill the form. And also, if you're a woman, they are searching for you because we want to change the demographic a bit, please. So just go there and fill the form. We will leave the link in the description so you can open it and just start filling it. And yeah, that was it. So thank you so much for watching us. As always, this is As Any Podcast. We have a big weekly show from us and also Arisa that is not with us today, but will be in other episodes. And the next one will be probably soon,
It will
sooner
be
than
actually
expected.
next week. And
Indeed.
I just shared the link in the chat.
Oh,
It'll
perfect.
be on the 26th. So yeah, literally next week around the same time. And we will have an amazing guest called Estela Franco. And we'll talk about technical SEO and web performance and all those things. So super excited to have her on, have
Nice.
you guys come back, hopefully. And yeah, thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, thank you so much. And remember, if you have any topics or guests you want to came in the show, please leave it in comments or just tag us. So thank you so much and
Thank
enjoy
you.
your day.
Bye.
Bye.